Welcome to Caroline's Library, where we dive into the world of manga, anime, and more. Today we are talking about a brutal and intense manga series that definitely won't be for everyone, and that manga is Ajin, Demi-Human. So let's get into it with a quick high-level summary of Chapter 1. Kei is a dedicated, intelligent high school student who is committed to becoming a doctor in order to save his sister from her incurable illness. He's the top student in his class, a model high schooler, who is on track for achieving his goal. Well, until it all goes up in smoke, when he gets lost in thought, crosses the street at the wrong time, and is killed by an oncoming truck. Or is he? Because as the crowd is coming to terms with the fact that they just witnessed a death, Kei suddenly and unexpectedly revives in front of everyone, revealing the fact that he is a rare type of immortal being known as an Ajin. And no one is more surprised than Kei himself, because the only way to discover that you're an Ajin is by dying and coming back to life. And this very public reveal puts a target on Kei's back because Ajin are highly sought after by governments around the world. Immortality is not a gift in this society. It is a reason to be used as a test subject. So Kei flees the scene as authorities begin a nationwide manhunt to capture him, no longer seeing him as a human being, but as a tool to be used as the government sees fit. And in Japan, that involves brutal experiments. Realizing that his life will never be the same and what will happen to him if he's captured, he calls upon the only person he can think of who will help him in this moment, his childhood friend Kai. And with that, they become fugitives on the run from the government. But how long can two high school students reasonably expect to avoid capture? Alright, so with that summary behind us, let's dive into what makes this story so fascinating and gripping, starting with the reason that this manga won't be for everyone. Like you've probably guessed, this story involves horribly grotesque scenes that intentionally blur the line between scientific research and state-sanctioned torture. It doesn't hesitate to focus on what happens when a group is labeled not human, and how that dehumanization is used to justify cruelty in the name of science or security. Honestly, the first scene that showed what exactly was being done to these Ajin felt like a punch to the gut. It took my breath away, and I had to walk away from the story for a little while, but this disturbing and immoral approach quickly sets the tone and instantly makes you sympathetic to these horribly mistreated Ajin. Instead of trying to understand them through diplomacy and peace, governments around the world found something to dominate and control. They let their fear and curiosity get the better of them. And this is a deep, emotionally impactful, and disturbing theme to incorporate into a story. And it makes you think about what's happened throughout our history, from the Nazi human experimentation during World War II to the Tuskegee syphilis study, and those are just two examples. This manga takes it one step further, though, and asks the question, if a group truly could not die, how far would institutions go? And that answer may be much further than we'd like to believe. Okay, so let's put that part of the story behind us and take a look at the other aspects of the series, starting off with the characters. Ajin includes a variety of morally gray, complicated characters, starting off with Kei, who, on the surface, is this calculating, pragmatic, self-centered person who comes across as cold and callous. While he may be a model student, he's not exactly a good person. But as the story continues, we see moments of insecurity and selflessness as he seems to question this excessive, apathetic personality that he seemingly has been so proud of. Does he ever become the stereotypical hero? No. But that's what makes his character arc so well done and realistically portrayed. And as Kei navigates his new life as an Ajin, we meet other divisive characters like Sato, Tosaki, Tanaka, and Ogura, all who have entangled, messy reasons, for better or worse, that guide their day-to-day choices, whether if it's revenge, love, genuine curiosity, or outright fear. And within reason, these are all complex individuals where you can at least understand why they're doing what they're doing, even if you don't agree with their choices. And more often than not, I did not agree with what they were doing, but I could see how they got there, especially when one Ajin in particular decides on a very destructive and divisive path with the ultimate goal of taking back their basic human rights. Luckily, to balance out these cold and cutthroat characters, we've got a small handful of decent, kind, and caring individuals who serve as the moral guiding light of the story. Characters who, despite all odds, have clung to their moral code, and they were a breath of fresh air every time they made an appearance. And as our cast of characters grows with each volume, we get some intriguing mysteries and reveals that slowly peel back the layers of this fascinating Ajin power system. Like, why is there a greater fear of variant Ajin? What exactly are the black ghosts known as IBMs that Ajins can summon? How sentient are the IBMs? Why are some Ajin abilities different than others? What are their weaknesses? How many of them are truly out there but haven't been discovered yet? The mangaka does an amazing job of pacing by introducing questions and providing answers in a way that keeps your attention. You're never overwhelmed or bored with the story. So we've got intense themes, complex characters, and intriguing mysteries all packaged into a well-paced series. But I did have a couple issues with the story. To start off, I never really connected to any of the characters, including Kei. He's a well-written character, but his self-serving, almost sociopathic personality was hard to root for, and some of my more preferred characters felt a bit underdeveloped and just didn't make enough appearances for me to really have a favorite in this series. And second, the Ajin experimentation in Japan felt like it didn't really have a purpose, like it had deteriorated into pure torture and cruelty without any intention of discovering anything. At one point in the story, we learned that the Ajin are being used for pharmaceutical drug testing and vehicle safety tests, so at least there's some purpose behind the inhumane treatment. Now, let me be clear that no matter what, nothing would justify this horrific treatment, but at least there was some defined purpose behind the experiments with other corporations. In Japan, with the government-run research facilities, it felt like the ultimate purpose of the torture was just to shock the reader. So, all things considered, like I mentioned at the beginning, this story will not be for everyone. The grotesque and disturbing scenes are truly tough to stomach at times, but they do have a purpose of emphasizing the core themes of this story, boiled down to, are human rights ever truly unconditional? Because dehumanization is a choice. And on top of this impactful topic, we have complicated characters, intriguing mysteries, and a fascinating power system. Ajin can be a tough read, but it is also a gripping story that instantly gets your full attention. If you've already checked out this manga series, let me know what you think in the comments. Thanks for popping on to watch this review, and until next time, happy reading.